Hey friends, in this video I'm going to show you some of the common interview questions on operating system. So the first question is, what is an operating system? The operating system is a software program that facilitates computer hardware to communicate and operate with the computer software. It works as an interface between the software and the hardware. The next question is, what is the main purpose of an operating system? There are actually two main purposes of an operating system. The primary one is convenience and the secondary one is efficiency. What are the different types of operating systems? Number one, batched operating system, distributed operating system, time sharing operating system, multi-programmed operating system, real-time operating system. There are 5 types of operating system. Next question is, what is a real-time system? So a real-time operating system or a real-time system is an operating system intended to serve real-time applications that process data as it comes in, mostly without buffer delay. Now, what example of a real-time application is flight management software for airport control. Next question is, what is kernel? Kernel is the core and most important part of a computer operating system, which provides basic services for all parts of the operating system. So next question is, what is monolithic kernel? A monolithic kernel is a kernel which includes all operating system code in single executable image. So what do you mean by a process? A program under execution is known as process. Actually, there are 2 types of processes: operating system processes and user processes. Next question is, what are the different states of a process? A list of different states of process are a new process or new state, a running state, waiting state, a ready state, or terminated state. Next question is, what is PCB? A PCB, that is a process control block, is a data structure used by computer operating system to store all the information about a process. The next is, what are the components of a PCB? The components of the PCB are: number 1 is process ID, number 2 is process state, number 3 is program counter, number 4 is register information, next one is scheduling information, memory related information, accounting information, and status information related to input output. These are some of the components of PCB, that is the process control block. Next question, what is the difference between microkernel and a macro kernel? So microkernel is the kernel which runs minimal performance affecting services for operating system. In microkernel operating system, all other operating system are performed by processors. All other operating system operations are performed by processors. Macrokernel is a combination of micro and monolithic kernel. Next question is, what is the concept of reentrancy? It is a very useful memory saving technique. It is actually a very useful memory saving technique that is used for multi-program time sharing systems. It provides functionality that multiple users can share a single copy of program during the same period. It has 2 key aspects: the program code cannot modify itself, and number 2 is the local data for each user process must be stored separately. Next question is, what is the difference between process and program? Process is a program under execution. Number 2, process is a dynamic entity, and process has its own control block called process control block. A program is a static entity, and its process does not have any control block. Next question, what do you mean by degree of multiprogramming? The maximum number of processes that can be present in a ready queue is known as degree of multiprogramming. Next question is, what are the types of schedulers? There are three types of scheduler: long-term scheduler, short-term scheduler, and medium-term scheduler. Then the CPU scheduling algorithms. The CPU scheduling algorithms are FCFS, that is first come serve first serve. Number 2 is SJF, that is shortest job first. Number 3 is SRT, that is shortest remaining time. Number 4, longest remaining time. Priority scheduling, round robin scheduling, and multi-level queue scheduling. The next question is, what is convoy effect? In convoy effect, one slow process slows down the performance of the entire set of processes and leads to the wastage of CPU time and other devices, as is known as convoy effect. The next question is, what do you mean by context switching? A context switching is a process that involves switching of the CPU from one process or task to another. In this phenomenon, the execution of the process that is present in the running state is suspended by the kernel, and another process that is present in the ready state is executed by the CPU. The next question is, what is thrashing? Thrashing is a phenomenon in virtual memory scheme when the processor spends most of its time in swapping pages rather than executing instructions. The next important question is, what is deadlock? Deadlock is a specific situation or condition when two processes are waiting for each other to compete so that they can start, but this situation causes hang for both of them. Now, what are the necessary conditions to achieve a deadlock? There are 4 conditions to achieve a deadlock. Number 1 is mutual exclusion. Number 2 is hold and wait. Number 3 is no preemption, and number 4 is circular wait. So what is mutual exclusion? Mutual exclusion, that is at least one resource must be held in a non-shareable mode. It in any other process requests this resource, then process must wait for the resource to be released. If any other process requests this resource, then that process must wait for the resource to be released. Hold and wait. A process must be simultaneously holding at least one resource and waiting for at least one resource that is currently being held by some other process. No preemption. So once a process is holding a resource, that is once its request has been granted, then that request cannot be taken away from that process until the process voluntarily releases it. The next one is circular wait. A set of process, let's say P0, P1, P2 up to Pn, must exist such that every Pi is waiting for P of I plus 1 mod n plus 1. That is, for example, we can say that P1 is waiting for P2, P2 is waiting for P3, and P3 is again waiting for P1. So it is a circular wait. Next question is, what is Banker's algorithm? Banker's algorithm is used to avoid deadlock. It is one of the deadlock avoidance method. It is named as Banker's algorithm on the banking system, where bank never allocates available cash in such a manner that it can no longer satisfy the requirements of all of its customers. The next is, what is fragmentation? So fragmentation is a phenomenon of memory wastage. It reduces the capacity and performance because space is used inefficiently. And provided that the next question is, how many types of fragmentation occur in operating system? So actually there are 2 types of fragmentation, that is internal fragmentation and external fragmentation. It is occurred when we deal internal fragmentation occurs when we deal with systems that have fixed size allocation unit, and external memory allocation occurs when we deal with system with have variable size allocation unit. So this is all for this video. I will come up with the next video with some more interview questions on operating system. Thanks for watching.